4 contestants enter, but only 1 leaves a champion. That's right, it's time for the one and only Project Nerd Game Show. Live from the Project Nerd Studios in StreamYard, it's The Last Word.
Welcome, everybody, to The Last Word. I am your host, Andy Adair, and we are so excited you're here for the show today. We are really, really close to this summer for the big blockbusters and all the good game releases that are coming in towards the end of the year. But right now, we have to talk about Morbius first. And we have a ton of experts on vampires. But first, of course, we've got Mia. Thank you for being here today, Mia. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hello. Doing great. Happy to be here.
All right. Up next today on the show, we're going to bring in Matthew. Great to see you, Matthew.
Great to see you as well.
Matthew, what do you? I know Mia works with Project Nerd. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a stand-up comedian based out of Nashville, and I've currently running. This is my 3rd appearance on The Last Word, and I have yet to be defeated. So,
well, welcome to my world. Welcome to my world where the answers are arbitrary and the scores don't matter. All right, up next says Kaisa. Welcome to the show today. Great to see you.
Hi, great to see you. Intimidating to hear that there's an undefeated record on today.
Well, like I just said, I score very arbitrarily, so I don't think that there's any rhyme or reason why anyone wins this show here. So, and this was with somebody that used to be a very popular person on the show, and he's still very popular in all of our hearts. Let's bring in Q. Q, welcome. Now, have you ever competed on the show?
I have never competed on this show, although. Matthew did compete on all of the on a lot of the episodes that I hosted, and I thought it would only be fair that his winning streak come to an end by my own hand. Since it was given to him by my own hand in the first.
Absolutely love this. This is great trash talk. All right, let's get right into round 1. All right. Well, we have our great questions, but we're going to start with one that everybody has been talking about for the last week. It's the slap heard around the world. A week and 1 day ago, Will Smith absolutely smacked the shit out of Chris Rock for a joke that was told during the Oscars. Shout out to stand-up comedians everywhere telling jokes, making fun of people that don't get slapped. Since then, Will Smith has resigned from the Oscars. Studios are backing away from the projects that he's a part of, and I'm sure there's other fallout that will still come. And while I completely think that Smith was out of line doing what he did, do you think the punishment fits the crime here? What are your thoughts on that? And I want to go and hear from Q first on this one. Go ahead, Q.
Oh, man. Gosh. Gee Willikers. I think violence is never the answer, first and foremost. I'm going to put the PN stamp of approval on that one. But here's the deal. Out of this entire situation, everybody's talking about Will Smith and Chris Rock, but who we really need to be talking about is Denzel Washington. That is America's hero. He stepped in. He said an amazing quote, which I think the world just forgot about when this happened. He approached Will and he said, "When you're at your height, that's when the devil comes for you," which is such a Denzel Washington thing to say. Then today I read an interview with him because he spoke out about it. And he said that and this is just my entertainment nerd head was exploding. He and Tyler Perry had a prayer circle over Will Smith after the slap happened at the Oscars. I was like, why is nobody talking about that?
Well,
why is the Book of Eli not as championed as it should be?
To support your Denzel love too, Jimmy Kimmel actually went on to say that in the Moonlight La La Land conundrum that happened when he was hosting, that Denzel Washington was the one that kept everybody together and was directing the flow of traffic. So Denzel, the Rock of Hollywood, I would say.
Yeah.
Mia, I think that there's a little bit about some maybe toxic masculinity here involved with some of the Will Smith stuff. I don't know if you're going to touch on that at all or if you agree with me when I say that, but tell us what your thoughts are on this.
I think I will also agree with Q in that violence is not the answer. I have quite a list of opinions, but I'll try to stick with one. And the big one is when the Academy came out saying that they don't agree with the violence, well, where was that for the Weinsteins and the other ones that also were behind the scenes committing further atrocities and with lists of them? And then regardless of where you stand on the slap, a man took action on behalf of his wife, either way, and that's the one that the Academy's like, not this. This is not okay. I'm not okay with them not being okay when they were so okay with everything else that was so absolutely and utterly disgusting beforehand. Literally.
It's a pretty big rug they had to buy to sweep everything under that one, right? Matthew, what do you think about this? You're a stand-up comedian, and so you probably tell jokes to make fun of people. Would you been like as calm as Chris Rock was after getting slapped?
I think I would have come up with a better comeback right away. That's for sure. But, I was kind of outraged by this, and it's almost like the simulation is broken at this point. But I was like really upset about things until I checked my Apocalypse bingo card, and I got a bingo on that one. So 2 boxes in one night, you guys. One of the boxes was Oscar from Shark Tale slaps the shit out of Marty from Madagascar at the Oscars. That's one box done. And then violence during the documentary section of the Oscars. We're almost done, you guys, and I am here for the end.
Oh my goodness, guys! I don't know if you're playing Apocalypse Bingo, but what do you think about Will Smith in the slap?
I'm not playing Apocalypse Bingo. I do think that maybe Will Smith could have handled it better, but I do think that if he didn't slap Chris Rock, then it's Jada Pinkett Smith who is like metaphorically taking the hit of like that terrible joke, and she had apparently been like the brunt of Chris Rock's joke for years. I'm also kind of in the same boat where it's like, why is this the priority of the Academy when Alicia Silverstone and Halle Berry were both like assaulted on stage when they were like being kissed, like someone came up on stage that they were like presenting for an award and were like kissed and like assaulted in front of everyone, and like no one did anything, or there wasn't really any outrage. I think it could have been handled better, but I don't personally kind of like hold this against Will Smith, and I think the blowback is like really overblown with like all these productions going on hold. I guess just relative and like in the scheme of things to like other things that have happened in Hollywood, I don't think this is like that end all be all in the way that it's like being treated.
Yeah, Will Smith felt like a dude that was frustrated that he'd been on his wife's podcast talking about just stuff. I mean, there's a lot going on with their family outside of just this one incident, this one joke. And like you had brought up, Chris Rock had joke attacked Jada Pinkett Smith before. So maybe there's more to the story that we know about, right? I definitely think the punishment has probably gone too far, but the Oscars are horribly, horribly inconsistent with what they actually care about, as you guys have both brought up. So I'm going to petition that next year we just go ahead and all watch the Kids' Choice Awards on Nickelodeon, and that will be our Oscars, and we will give them all the Oscars. I think that's a win for all of us. There's nothing we can go wrong with that, right? Just slime them all. Slime them all. All right. Slime them all. All right. Question 2. So Morbius came out this week. I don't know if you guys knew this. Morbius. Everyone's been talking about it. And it actually won the box office weekend. Now it's a little bit slower, but it's only sitting at a 17% rating with critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Venom 1 was at 30% with critics and 81% with the audience. Venom 2 has an inexplicable 58% with critics and 84% with the audience. And Morbius does have a pretty positive audience review, 70%, right? So fans seem to like it. Does it matter what the critics think about these Sony Spider-Man movies? Do they need to change the formula up, or do we have something here that maybe the people like and the critics just don't understand? Kaiser, why don't you start with us for us? Tell us what you got. What do you think?
Oh, I feel like I hate like movie ratings in general, because like even if something's not like critically acclaimed, I might find it super fun. Or like even all these years later, like Twilight is a big meme, and I know like Shrek was a good movie, but it's like it's also just like I guess it's what's important to the critics isn't necessarily important to me, so I don't really care. But I guess if they're trying to min-max, their money and the profits that they make on this, they should care what the audiences think. I think pitching a vampire movie to comic book fans, I think is kind of a clash of interests, where if people are expecting a comic book movie, you kind of mentioned before in the pre-show that that's not really what Morbius is.
It is more of a vampire movie. I think if you think about it going into it, it's going to change the way you see the movie. Maybe you'll like it a little bit more. Q, are you a Morbius fan? Do you like vampires or Jared Leto's music?
I do love it when Jared Leto wears scarves and or open shirts.
You, my friend, are in for a treat.
I'm a
in this
fan
movie.
of that. So if there's a lot of that in this movie, I'm here for it. Honestly, there's a lot of talk about Morbius and vampire movies, but what I'm really excited about is Nick Cage's Dracula, which is coming out soon, which I think we'll all forget that. Andy, are you unaware of this movie?
No, I did not know this is happening,
Okay.
but I've already bought my tickets.
It's called Renfield, and it is about his Dracula's lackey, but Nicolas Cage, the Sir Nicolas Cage. Fine, but what we really need to be excited about is Nick Cage as Dracula.
You didn't answer the question, so -1 for that, but +3 because I'm so excited for this movie now that I cannot contain myself. I can barely think about what's going to come next. So
all I'm going to say is and maybe I'll get some more plus points out of this. Set pictures already exist, and Nick Cage looks exactly like you would imagine as Dracula.
Jeez Louise. Crazy hair and all. Okay, well, thank you for that. I need to know. We'll go watch some trailers after this. Matthew, what do you think about this? What do you think about Morbius?
Well, I didn't get a chance to see Morbius, but I used to be a film critic, actually. I have hundreds of published film reviews that I've done, and I was a part of the Online Film Critics Society for a number of years. And I usually don't tell anyone that because I prefer that people like me. But now my secret's out. But as a critic, my job was essentially to write 1,000 words on how much I disliked a thing. That was my primary job. And for doing that job, they would send me free DVDs so that I could write more about how much I disliked those as well. And occasionally I'd write about a thing that I actually liked, but that was few and far between. I was actually once threatened to be sued by a Nigerian film critic for a 5% review I gave them. But that's neither here nor there. Anything that can stop people from writing about movies, I'm here for that as well. And let's just stop film criticism altogether. We don't need any more words about movies, and film critics don't need free DVDs anymore. So it's done.
All right. Well, Morbius is bringing a lot out in us, right? That there is not maybe Morbius related, but a lot of passion projects for us that we need to move on, right? So no more free DVDs for critics. We will probably have to start a website for that very soon here. So, Mia, you watched Morbius? Did you see it yet?
I haven't
What do you
seen
think?
it yet.
What do you think about Jared Leto as Morbius? What do you think about Sony doing Morbius? You think it's going to work, or you think they need something else?
I think for Morbius, I think Sony is having a little bit of a DC issue with a little bit of they don't have a set story that they're trying to tell, so they're trying to tell multiple stories at once and hope that they come together instead of having a base and then spidering out.
Spidering out.
Yeah.
It's unintentional, right?
So I don't think that's necessarily working in their favor. There are fan theories of what they think will work to fix it, like bringing Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man back, and a couple of other things. But I think for an actor like Jared Leto, he's either in great hands or he's not, because he has a lot of potential as an actor, and it really depends on the script and the director on whether or not he's actually going to be put to his max potential. And then on top of that, when it comes to critic stuff, I think there needs to be, if critics want to continue to exist, they should exist where they're wanted. So if there are filmmakers who want to make movies to be critiqued and then given awards for by the people that are critiquing them, then I think films now need to be categorized in that way. And so there are films put into for the critiquing, and then films put out specifically for entertaining and never touch the realm of critiques. And
it's hard too, because we talk about the Oscars, right? And like Spider-Man was not nominated for Best Picture last year, but I feel like if any year a comic book movie could have been nominated, that was a year Spider-Man could have absolutely been nominated for Best Picture. So it's pretty clear that the Oscars are already doing what you're saying. Let's just go ahead and just finish it off, right? And keep them all separate here. So I'm going to come back around one more time to everybody. I want to ask, let's say that Sony puts out Morbius, they've got Venom, they get Kraven the Hunter. Maybe they put together one or two more villain movies, so to speak, right? And they take all those villains, and then they take those villains to fight against Spider-Man, either Andrew Garfield, Toby, whoever it is. Maybe it's all three of them. Would you be in or out on something like that? Mia, in or out?
I'd be in.
What do you think, Matt?
My kids would make me be in.
Okay, Kaiser, you think you'd watch that?
I'd be in. I'd watch that.
All right, and Q, do you think you'd be in for all that? All that? That's nonsense. It's a lot of nonsense, right?
If you add in Nicolas Cage as Dracula, I'm 100% in.
He's actually the leader of the Sinister Six. Like
if he can be Man Bat, then I'm in.
Nice. Yeah, let's do it. Whatever we need to get DC or Nick Cage into any comic book movie, I'm all for. Right? We've seen those pictures of him as Superman. They're magnificent. So
yes.
Okay. All right. So through one round, the scores that we have today. So Mia, you have 8. Kaiser, you have 6. Matt, you have 7. Q, you have 7. So Kaiser, you are eliminated first in the first round today. Now, please hang out though, because I am notorious for bringing people back on. But as you are being removed from the show, wave goodbye to all the fans. Thanks for being here so far, and we'll see you in a little bit. All right, let us move on to round 2 and our next questions. Okay, so Fortnite announced today, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Fortnite announced today that they've raised over $144 million in its partnership with Xbox for the Ukraine humanitarian relief. This was only made in 2 weeks from both payments made directly to Epic and to Xbox, right? And the portion of the funds that would normally be paid from Microsoft, right, on their platforms went to this relief. And so seeing this kind of response from a gaming community is honestly quite amazing. And I don't think people were spending money on Fortnite to donate to Ukraine necessarily, but it does get me thinking, the gaming community, do we need to do more stuff like this? If a number like 144 million can be reached in only 2 weeks from some proceeds off skins and store purchases. What do you think, Mia? Do you think we could do more as gamers?
Am I allowed to curse on this show?
Yeah, curse away.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Okay, cool.
I think that when you get a large enough group of people who agree to be passionate about the same thing, and then there's a common goal for that same passion, you can quite literally change the world or affect history. Right now, there's a lot of things that are fighting with hate, discourse, miscommunication, I don't know, whatever else you want to include for that. But this is a very solid step in, I guess, fighting with love instead. And that's a love of video games, a love of the gaming community, a love of just enjoying life and then turning that around to help people who can't do that with you. And I think there can be, should be, and hopefully will be more of that. I hope other gaming industry people see this and are like, oh, so we can actually do this, and then do that. And I hope other people who actually game put the pressure on the games that they love, or the game developers that they love, or the companies that own them, and say, hey, we want to be a part of something that stands for great things. Let's do that.
Let's make a difference as a community, right? We got to stand up and say it together.
Absolutely.
Q, what do you think we could do more as a community? And what do you think we can do? What do you think the steps are? I mean, do you have any ideas?
I can, and I don't want to take something that's so beautiful and just poop on it, because I do think that it's wonderful that the gaming community has done this. But here is my immediate takeaway upon reading that is Microsoft can afford to lose $144 million and they're not giving anything to Ukraine. Instead, it's a bunch of gamers that are paying money to relief for Ukraine. What I would really like to see is these multi-billion-dollar corporations also step up instead of just the communities rallying. Of course, it's wonderful to see the gaming community rally together, and that's in no way saying that people shouldn't donate and give, but people don't have billion-dollar fortunes that they're sitting on, and they're able to give this level of money. I think what I want to see next, honestly, is those companies stepping up and matching it. You know what I mean? I'd like to see them say, you know what? We raised $144 million and we're matching at $144 million.
Matching is something I think needs to come along with it. I totally agree.
Yep.
Yes.
So Matthew, what do you think about this here? What do you think about the gaming community and what we could do, make change?
It's a fascinating study in the way that that basically the concept of a community can be completely changed, and the power that that community can wield can also completely change. So now you have this decentralized network of basically gamers who can collectively come together and create real world substantive change, which is a little bit terrifying too. Also, not to poop all over the wonderful thing that's happened, but I fear for a day when the gaming community collectively realizes its own power and then teabags reality out of existence. I have a lot of good ideas about the way that the apocalypse should go, but that's not my apocalypse.
That is absolutely fantastic. That's so great. So, so just shifting gears slightly here, and I'm actually going to bring Kaisa back in for this. I want everyone to go around real quick, and I want you guys to just talk about a cause that you care about, that you'd like to see people think about, going forward. Kaisa, I'm going to bring you back in first. Why don't you start here? Tell us something you care about.
I'm a big fan of Mike the Quad, and I really care about accessibility, especially in like games and streams and like content and entertainment, or like they just added like an ASL interpreter to Jen Psaki's like White House briefings, and I feel like there's a lot of kind of small changes that make the world so much more accessible for so many people, and I really care about that, and I think it's cool, and I hope people are more aware about that when they go about
accessibility in gaming is something like once you see what exactly that means, it's a whole new world is opened up for you in terms of there's so many people that want to play things and do things that they're not able to, and we are not making good enough strides to help those people out and stuff. So I totally agree with that. Q, what do you think? What's something you care about you want people to draw attention to a little bit?
Honestly, this is going to be such a broad statement, and I apologize to everyone who's looking for me to like pick a particular platform. I just want people to start caring more. That's it. I think there is too much sitting around and hypothesizing about things, not to call ourselves out for doing that exact thing. But I think that there's an opportunity if every single person did as much as, I don't know, give $1 or $2, we would be talking change on a global scale. Like, and I know I just called the massive companies out for doing that, or for not doing that, and putting it all on the every person. But, if they're not going to step up, if we all did that, if we all united against one thing, this is a very small portion of people that united for one thing. And look at that, 2 weeks and $144 million. If we were to pick a new thing every 2 weeks, we would solve a lot of world problems really quickly. So that's what I want. Honestly, I just want more people to start caring and doing more. Keyword being doing. Action. Caring is one thing. Action is another.
Cute. Let's start a charity that's called $1 every 2 weeks. And that's all it is. And all it does every 2 weeks, we just donate to another charity. And just give $1 every 2 weeks.
I'm a 1,000,000,000% into that. And if all 7 billion people on Earth were also into that,
what a win!
We'd have a fraction of Jeff Bezos' money.
Mia, what's something that you care about that you think we need to be thinking about more?
Mental health, self care via mental health. I think helping the world is important, absolutely. But I also think if you're busy taking care of everyone else, you're going to forget to take care of yourself, and the world people cannot take care of each other if they themselves are not okay. I think a lot of people think you have to afford out of pocket a therapist and sit down with them, but there are internet avenues. There are also ones outside of using your health insurance, because some people, especially with work, feel pressure to go through the work ways, and that may still end up being too expensive. There's several online. The only one that's coming to my mind is Therapy Den. So therapyden.com is one that you can find a person in your area and you can talk to them about, like, you can see their rates. You can figure out whether or not that's something you can afford an hour. They have a search thing, so you can say, this is what I need them to specialize in. And there are ways to help yourself if you go out there, and if you don't want to just sit in an office and talk to a person and dish out $300, there's new avenues for you now. So if you take care of you, then you can take care of the world better.
And let's say that you're not dealing with any of these problems yourself. You could still make a big difference, create positive online communities. Anybody that goes on social media, streaming sites, Twitch, right? There's so much negativity that can pop up there, and you could be a part of a change that's a positive change. You could
Absolutely.
be something that drives forward with that. So that's great. Matthew, what do you think? What's something you care about, you want to bring attention to?
I think that our LGBTQ kids are kind of struggling out there right now. There are a few states that are doing some things that are both a problem for parents as well as the kids themselves. And just coming to terms with your own identity as a teenager is hard enough as it is. Then when you have lawmakers imposing things and actually creating, potential blowback for parents as a result of that, that's when things are becoming kind of dangerous and scary. Vote however you feel is best in that regard, but just know that mostly kids just want to exist and be heard.
No, absolutely. These are all really great causes. And, if you have any questions on any of this stuff, you could message anybody on the show here. We'd love to talk to you about it. Love to help out any way we can, right? Right, everybody? I'm committing you all to doing this.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
100%.
Yes.
Reach out to Project Nerd. We're very
Please.
inclusive, and we want to hear your struggle and help with your struggle however we can.
Yes.
Okay, Kaiser, thank you for hopping back on for this part. We're going to get to our next question. Bye again. All right, so our next question in round 2, and thank you for doing that serious one for us. I think it really makes a big difference, talking about stuff like that. So now kind of switching gears to something still serious a little bit. Bruce Willis's family and his state announced that he's retiring from acting due to a serious cognitive condition known as aphasia. And it's easy for everybody to make fun of Willis over the last couple of years, right? He did so many movies, 21 in the last 4 years, and most of which were straight to on demand. But in hindsight, he's just trying to do what he could to make as much money for him and his family while he could. And we can't forget how massive Bruce Willis has been in the last 30 years for us. So, were you a big Bruce Willis fan? What's your favorite movie from him? And are we gonna miss Bruce Willis in Hollywood? Q, let's have you go first.
All right, cool. I've always loved Bruce Willis. I'm a big Bruce Willis fan. I would say probably my favorite roles are toss-up between his role in Death Becomes Her or Look Who's Talking. I think those are two of the most non-talked about Bruce Willis roles, but also two of the best little treasures that exist in his cinema oeuvre. But all in all, can I just say that this is heartbreaking to hear. I don't want to joke or gloss over it too much, just because I have had family members that have these kind of impairing mental function disorders. And the hardest part about something like aphasia is that he, as a person, is still cognitively functioning, but his brain is essentially working against him. So he's trying, and it will get worse, but he's trying to communicate, and the words just aren't coming correctly. His brain is rewiring. So I just want to say that, like, that sucks. that sucks. That sucks to go through. And it's kind of one of those things, like, that's his bread and butter, right? Like, he's known for his voice and his communication style. He has a very unique sound. I remember, does anybody remember that cartoon show that he did called Bruno the Kid?
No.
Okay. So there was a cartoon show called Bruno the Kid, and he was the voice of a kid who was a international spy. It's super weird, but his voice is so recognizable as just like Bruce Willis. And so to have something that is that specific taken away from you is I guess what's the hardest thing. So I just wanted to call out that, like, I love that we're talking about this. I love this situation, but I do want people to kind of realize, because I almost have been so jaded over the past couple of years by the Bruce Willis situation and hearing Kevin Smith stories and whatnot, that I was almost, and listen, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I'm going to say it because I know I'm wrong, everyone. So put Twitter down. Don't string me up yet. But here's the deal. When it first got announced, there was a split second in my brain that I went, is this just an excuse because he has a shitty career for him to retire? For a split second. But then I realized how callous that is as a viewer and as a person. And that's why I had to speak to the seriousness of it when this question came up, because I need to clear my conscience, because that was a horrible thing for me to think. But I fear that I'm not the only one.
I highly doubt you were the only one thinking about that, right? Like, I mean, you see the last couple of years of his movies, and it's like, well, why was he doing what he was doing? Matthew, you used to be heavy into film. What do you think about this?
I'm a man of a certain age, so of course I was big. Bruce Willis was a big part of that growing up. I mean, you've got Butch Coolidge from Pulp Fiction. That was always a big one for me. Or Corbin Dallas from Fifth Element, which was brought up in the chat. Or you got of course Die Hard. You love Bruce Willis, and you hear the things about what he was like to work with Kevin Smith, but he was at a certain point in his career, and Kevin Smith isn't the type of filmmaker that he was probably used to working with, and so maybe some of that can be forgiven, and maybe he's a mix between an asshole and a genuinely good dude. Either way, he was a big part of my life, and for me, the one role though, it was the Moonlighting. That was the sexual tension between him and Sybil Shepherd and Moonlighting. Was what, like, I think it sprung me into puberty. I didn't understand sexual tension until that very moment, and then it all became revealed to me in some spicy TV.
Mia, what is your thoughts? Did Bruce Willis also spring you into puberty?
No. No. But it's my role is he voiced Spike in Rugrats Gone Wild. And
what a big that was. Man, this is the Bruce Willis Deep Cuts episode. Holy cow, like, this is crazy.
But I was raised on Rugrats, and so they were an obsession when I was a child, and I found out later in life that he was the one who spoke for Spike, but it sat with me because I don't know. You don't think, when you think of a cartoon doll, you don't think Bruce Willis is going to speak for him. So it's just like, that's great. So it's just something I've always cherished. I do love like Fifth Element and the Die Hards and all that stuff for sure. But that one's just near and dear to inner child me. As for his illness and how people have reacted, I see the parallels in how people reacted to Chadwick losing weight, and people were making fun of him because they didn't know, and then they found out, and you're like, oh, and now I feel like a major asshole.
Piece of shit.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. So it's I think the general populace, enough of them did certainly thought like, why? And then later you're like, oh, well, he just wants to leave something behind. And for Chadwick, it was like he worked truly with every fiber of himself to bring Black Panther to life as passionately and as perfectly as he could. And Bruce is trying to do the same, just in his way. If I have as many movies as possible under my belt, then I will have left some semblance of a legacy behind. And I get that. I understand that. I see that. So yep. I sympathize with it.
It's a incredibly sad situation for him, and we are really bummed out that he's not making movies anymore. And I'm going to go back and watch 21 movies here that he made in the last 4 years. And I don't even care if they're going to suck. I'm doing it for him because, damn it, he had a big influence on me as a movie watcher when I was growing up. So no points scored on that question, but we do have some points scored after the first one here. So after 2 rounds, we are looking at Mia has 14, Matt has 14, Q has 15. And so Matt, unfortunately, because You now have to go work on your Teabag the World campaign. You are going to be eliminated from the show. I do think that that's a great idea, though, for a for a nonprofit. So let's do what we can to get that rolling. Thank you.
At the
for being
very
here today.
least, it's a great idea for a T-shirt. So
it's also like modern day, like Boston Tea Party. Like, I'm sure you can somewhere.
Let's literally
All right.
teabag the world.
We will discuss this after the show. We will see you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank
for
you.
being here today. All right. Well, let us get here into our final round.
Ooh.
Okay, so our last question today pits Q against Mia, and the Halo show has debuted, and while it's been a massive hit for Paramount Plus, purist Halo fans have been disparaging the show for the removal of Master Chief's helmet. Ooh, and in turn, some of his mystique is now gone as well, right? So let's make enemies here, folks, and I want to hear what sacred thing you would like to see changed that you think would be a positive decision, but fans would absolutely freak out about. An example of this that I'll give you is James Bond being a non-white, non-male British person, or Mario not having a mustache, or Kratos wearing like a stinky t-shirt all the time. What do you think? Q, let's start with you. What do you think?
Cool. All right. I've been petitioning this for a while, and I'm 100% on board with this. I am ready for a Superman of color. Like, that's what I want. I feel like this character needs this. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't really like Superman anyway. I think he's like the plain Janest of the superhero genre.
Absolutely.
But I think having a person of color in his skin, so to speak, to be that character, I think that adds some much needed layer and depth to the character, other than just being like, woe is me, white kid from rural small town whose parents died. Like, welcome to every Disney movie ever, Superman. Like, it's you and everybody else. Okay.
Now,
but like, go ahead.
Did you know that this is happening, right?
I did. And that's what that was going to be the second part of it. Is there is rumor that Michael B. Jordan is up potentially to be this next Superman produced by J.J. Abrams.
It's happening at HBO.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, then it's happening, guys. It's happening. But I have seen, because I was
dreams do come true.
Yay! I genuinely think that character could use that to kind of pull from that life experience to deepen the character. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be a solid thing. That's one of the ones that I think, I mean, we talk about like people review bombing movies like Morbius. Wait till Michael B. Jordan is Superman. I guarantee you there is going to be some like crazy hood-wearing comic fans out there that are like not about that. But you know what? I am. And I'm going to make a blanket statement. Yeah. PN as a whole is.
Yes, I am a white people, and I'm tired of white people sometimes. Let me just tell you, okay. Mia, what do you think about what sacred thing you want to change here?
I'm using my work laptop, and I don't know where the mic is. Otherwise, I would go right into the mic, and I would say, "Let Jedis have sex."
All right, let Jedis.
This
bang.
is the best sex you've ever had.
Let them do it, please.
Now, in
Anakin
a way that
would
the
not
audience
have ended up destroying so much of Star Wars universe if they would have just let him do it. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right. Well,
can we just?
I mean, like, look, I there's a lot of things that I can give a show winner for. I don't feel like I can choose sexual Jedis over.
You can't.
You sure are the winner today of our show. Congratulations. Yes, absolutely. We're going to remove ourselves. You're going to have 30 seconds after this cool little championship song.
Hey gang. It's Uncle Q here, and I'm here to tell you about the joys of the Project Nerd Network. If you aren't watching Project Nerd other than The Last Word, you have made a grave mistake, and I am so sorry for you, but there is time to rectify it. Navigate yourself over to project-nerd.com or Project-Nerd for those spelling non-enthusiasts. And check out all of the amazing series, shows, podcasts, video series, television programs that are coming your way. Half of the people that are down here that were going to be brought back, well, you can't see them. They're down here for me. But half of these people are on and make and create some of these amazing programs. So I can't ask you enough. If you enjoyed this, please enjoy all of the other amazing Project Nerd content. And yeah.
All right.
Message me about your problems, like Andy said. I want to know.
Thank you guys so much for being here today. This is a very, very, very good episode. Just, again, make things happen for your community. Be positive. Encourage your friends to stay positive. Encourage mental health. Thank you guys for listening. Check out Project Nerd. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. We'll be back for the big summer preview that we've got coming up. Bye.